Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of my favorite shows of all time, and this is the first episode in a short 3 to 4 episode series discussing the different readings of the show and why it is great. For the first episode, let us start by focusing mainly on the first season and how it sets up the later 2 seasons, as well as Avatar's place in Western animation. So join me for Why Avatar: The Last Airbender is Great, Book 1. The show starts by quickly introducing us to our 3 main characters, Aang, Katara, and Sokka. The plot of the first season is their journey to the Northern Water Tribe, so Aang and Katara can learn waterbending. While they are traveling, they are also being followed by Zuko and the Fire Nation. The first season is mainly one-off episodes where our main characters show up to a new location, solve an issue they are having while fighting off Zuko before leaving. Out of the first 20 episodes of the show, 14 of them follow this structure. These types of episodes develop the world of Avatar while also showing the devastation of the 100-year-long war. The entire first season of Avatar fleshes out many different locations in the world while also foreshadowing important places that would come in the future. The Fire Nation, Ba Sing Se, the Hidden Library, and the other air temples were all mentioned but not explored until seasons 2 and 3. One of the reasons the world feels so expansive and real is because characters talk about locations that the audience has never seen before, but then one day will actually visit them. Seeing these different places show the different effects that the 100-year-long war has on the entirety of the world. The first season gives us introductions to these characters and themes as well, and they would be later expanded on in future seasons. Through these one-off episodes, we slowly get to learn more about our main characters, specifically Aang and Zuko, with both of their backstories being paralleled in The Storm. This parallel is introduced in Season 1, but is developed in the next 2 seasons. The first season of Avatar does a great job of foreshadowing the rest of the series while getting us hooked quickly. The beginning of the show also reveals an interesting reading of Avatar's place within animation in the West. Animation in the West is often categorized as cartoons or children's stories. Of course, many people know that this is not the case, and for people my age, Avatar might be the reason they know this. Even from the very start of the show, you can see the groundwork for the great moments that would come later. The 14 episodes that we talked about earlier feel very much like a traditional episode of what most people would categorize as children's entertainment. A 22-minute plot mainly removed from the rest of the story that basically ends with, "Be a good person." Small morality tales that tell the youth how to act. Avatar may seem to indulge in this type of storytelling in the beginning, but I would argue that Avatar uses this type of storytelling to comment on the lack of value for stories like that. The first season of Avatar introduces what seems to be simple morality tales at the end of each episode, but then later in the show takes those ideas and complicates them. Maybe the clearest example of this is Jet's storyline. We are first introduced to Jet in episode 10. This episode is about Jet and the Freedom Fighters and their plan to rid the forest of the Fire Nation. At first, a seemingly noble cause, but it would later be revealed that the Freedom Fighters' plan was to wipe out an entire innocent village as well as the Fire Nation. The story tells us that the ends don't justify the means, and while being a particularly dark episode about the genocide of a whole village, Jet's story would later be expanded on in Season 2. Jet returns and still wants to fight the Fire Nation, but his means to achieve this are different. Jet attempts to expose Zuko and Iroh for being firebenders by turning them into the police. Granted, he still accuses them quickly and attacks them in their place of work, but by attempting to turn them into the police, it is a far cry away from the massacre of an innocent village. Jet was first introduced as a teaching tool for the theme, the ends don't justify the means, but he is brought back into the story to complicate that simple message. Jet not only shows us the extreme effects of war and violence and what those effects can have on someone, but lets the audience ask the question of how far is too far when you are in war. When Jet returns, the war is still going on, and the one place that we've been told is the safest, Ba Sing Se, has turned out to be just as corrupt as the Fire Nation. When Jet returns, we are confronted once again with the question, do the ends justify the means? This time, however, the show asks us to choose. Through storytelling like this, Avatar rejects the claim that animation is a children's medium. Avatar takes the traditional episodic morality tale and expands it to a long-form narrative that asks questions instead of giving answers. The first season of Avatar makes the audience think this is going to be a typical kids show, but actually lays the groundwork for complex characters and themes to be developed for the rest of the show. By taking a typical format and expanding it, Avatar shows the type of complexity that all forms of animation have the potential to reach. I know for a whole generation of kids in the West, Avatar was their first introduction to an animated TV series that pushed the depth of stories animation could tell. It is a gateway to get people into animation and hopefully anime as well. This is only the first episode of my breakdown of Avatar, and a quick introduction to my thoughts on the series. In the next episode, I will focus on the payoffs that occur in Season 2, with a more specific focus on breaking down individual characters in the show. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode.